I'm back.
You're at 109 right now.
One of the reasons why I tell this story over and over again is because I watched Dr. Cornel West in interviews around 2012. Around 2012, that was a very pivotal moment for me. 13 years ago, I was very inquisitive and I had a lot of free time on my hand. I was a teacher in South Korea at the Youngnam University. And I wanted to get to the bottom of things that I was curious about. In particular, my curiosity was an outgrowth of racism, conditions regarding race. There were a lot of killings of black people in the media. I'm a black man. I was living in South Korea at the time, dealing with microaggressions and dealing with a lot of interacting with a lot of white people, white colleagues, and I was just dealing with things. I wanted to have the answers to a lot of there seemed to be a lot of debates going on, and I just wanted to have clear answers to questions that other people posed, but that questions that I also had. And so I was doing my research. Um, Shout out to Milton Bowen's 510, because in 2015, I believe it was, I was back in Los Angeles and I saw one of his works of art. And I thought to myself, well, this explains it in his work of art. It explains these arguments succinctly. Like a white person, one of my white colleagues might have asked me, I'm just, hypothesizing right now. Um, Hypothesizing, pontificating, um, what is it? Hypothetical. I'm just presenting a hypothetical. Hypothesizing? I don't know if that's correct or not. I don't know. So, hypothetically, if a white colleague would have asked me, well, why do black people have such a problem? Or aren't black people happy with America? Like, why focus on racism so much? That sort of ideal. Well, if you looked at Milton Bowen's 510 artwork, and isn't it dope that he uses numbers in his title, in his name, 510? Like, that's a man after my own heart with these numbers and all, you dig? Um, if you look at it, it was it was a work of art that presented a recipe, and I forgot the name, the title of the artwork. I can look it up. I'm on the computer right now. Um, it was a like a African American recipe. Um, let's see, African American recipe, Milton Bowen's 510. The recipe. Does he have it? Where is it? Guide to African American, the ABCs of Black History. Um, Let me see. I think it was American Pie. American Pie recipe by Milton Bowens. I can't find the artwork, but I remember it so vividly. I do have Milton Bowen's his art catalog. It's downstairs. I'm not gonna spend the time rushing down there to get it to read the work of art. But here's the gist of it. It's a work of art. I believe it's entitled American Pie, and Milton Bowens creates or lists the ingredients of the American pie, but specifically the American pie of the American Negro. And he's got like police brutality, 1 tablespoon, you know, 3 cups of unemployment. Um, and he just goes down the line of slavery, you know, a pound of slavery, a pound of 400 years of slavery, a pinch of microaggressions. Like he lists all of these things that have complicated life in America for the American Negro. And for the American Negro, it's easy. It's easy for us to say, "Hey man, America's not that great." But for some white person, they don't they're not looking through they're not looking they're looking through life, with some, fantasy glasses on. They're not looking at the reality. And so for them, they can't see what we see, just what is so apparent to us. So anyway, um, I was very inquisitive, and I was just looking for answers, and Milton Bowen's artwork was an answer, but also Dr. Cornel West also provided answers. So I was listening to his lectures and listening to him speak and trying to foment my own ideology, my own ideals about the world. And I was very much leaning to black scholars. And so the one thing that I had done is I decided to go back in time. I started to go back and look at Dr. Cornel West's interviews over the years. And I probably went back 20 years to maybe a Charlie Rose interview with Dr. Cornel West. And I was surprised to find that 20 years plus, his rap was the same. He was talking the same ish. I mean, he was talking about paideia, a Greek idea about pedagogy, if I'm not mistaken. Paideia, and so he, in like every interview, he talked about paideia. He talked about just humanity, and his rap was the same for 20 plus, more than 20 some odd years. And it was just intriguing to discover that, wow, he's been very consistent all of these years. He got the message, and it was just a matter of him, you know, sharing that message over and over again to different people in different settings through time and space. That's his mission. So what I'm doing with this retelling of these 10-9 moments is I'm doing essentially what Dr. Cornel West has done. I'm telling you, I'm giving you the meat and the bones of the story, and I'm telling you how influential, how impactful, how important these moments were to me. Yeah, maybe they're only important to me, but if you have experiences like these of your own, then for what I'm telling you and sharing with you, it's going to hit different. It's going to hit so much different. You're going to say, "Oh my gosh, I know what he's talking about. I had an experience and it was so real, so clear to me that I know exactly what he's talking about." So let me continue. So there I was. The year was 2018. And I was a full-fledged Nipsey Hussle fan. I was back in Los Angeles for a bit. I think it was a winter break, winter vacation. And Nipsey was promoting his Victory Lap debut album. So my mom and I went to the Marathon clothing store at Crenshaw and Slauson one morning at 9 a.m. As soon as the doors opened, I went inside to buy a sweatshirt, a t-shirt, and I also picked up some ink pen. I bought one ink pen. Um, yeah, so I wanted to support the brand. I had money from Saudi Arabia, so I could do that, and I did it. Um, his album would later be released February 16th, 2018. He gave me, or I received two posters, two promotional posters. Um, and I was on my way. My mom and I went inside the store and we left. His brother Black Sam was there. He was walking out of the door when we arrived, so I just saw him briefly, but I recognized him and he made his way out. That was dope. That was dope just to see him, just to be like, oh wow, the fellows are here. Nipsey was not around. Um, his father Dawit was there. He rang me up, or he was behind the counter. I think another gentleman rang me up, but his father was there, and I said, oh, you're Nipsey's father. So I said, let me shake your hand. I shook his hand, and that was cool. Um, yeah. So Nipsey released that record, Victory Lap. I was in Saudi Arabia when he released it, so I was a subscriber to iTunes. I still am a subscriber to iTunes Music. So when that album was released, I sat in my apartment and I listened to it on my smartphone. Honestly, I was quite shocked by the power of his words. It was a very it was a very powerful experience. He said, what makes you think why the fuck should I listen to your mixtape? Fuck, I want to listen to your CD for. That's what he said. Fuck, I want to listen to your CD for. And that was like a clear indication that Nipsey was, sharp. He was focused. He said, I made my money. I made $1 million on my own. What do I need you for? What do I need them for? What do I need radio for? Something to that effect. That was another profound moment that was a testament to his, belief in himself. Before Nipsey, you had to do it with the help of a major label. Nipsey said you don't need them. You can do it on your own. And maybe that's the message that I just needed, because in my life that's exactly what I was doing. By that time I was traveling on my own, not with a tour group. Most of the time not with a tour group. I was just boarding planes and going places. I had my passport and I would just see things on my own. Um, Go to museums, eat meals. I was doing it all on my own. So that was important. Anyhow, in 2018, back to the 10-9 moments, I went to a motel in Bahrain, and 109 was on this satellite box above the television. The television was off, and I saw 109 on above the television when I walked in the door. I thought it was very peculiar. I was very paranoid. I figured the CIA knew exactly where I was. They wanted me to know that they knew where I was, so they would leave these little details, these little hints. I was paranoid, but I dismissed that idea that the CIA knew where I was, because I thought, I'm not important. I'm not that important for them to have, try to keep tabs on me and send these subtle messages and things. I'm like, no, it's not like that. It's just a matter of, hey, it's a coincidence. I went in, I got this room, and 109 is on that little box. I thought that was wildly peculiar. However, I took a picture of it as evidence, and then I enjoyed myself the rest of the time I was at that motel. Next, I was in Madrid, Spain. I had just uploaded my 1090th picture to Instagram. I was inside the hotel. I walked outside the hotel. I turned the corner, and I noticed not a taxi, but a car parked around the corner from the hotel with license plate 1090. And I was like, oh my gosh, I just posted my 1090th. So the fact that I posted my 1090th picture was important to me only because those numbers, 109, were present. So after I posted it and I walked around the corner and I saw that license plate just really made it seem like, oh my gosh, this is really a moment for me. Very peculiar. So I went ahead and I snapped that photo, and I guess I posted that one. So I might have switched the photos, to make that the license plate, the picture of the license plate, the 1090th. I might have deleted it and uploaded something. I don't know. I might have done some little thing like that. But I absolutely posted my 1090th picture, walked outside the hotel, and saw a car with 1090 on the license plate. And it was just like, wow, what a coincidence. All right. Now, I asked you to put a pin in March 31st, 2017, because it was 2 years to the day that I returned. No, 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 no. 2 years to the day that I first arrived in Ethiopia, Addis Ababa, that we lost Nipsey Hussle. And on that day that we lost Nipsey, well, um, I was in the country of Oman, where I had been having some really interesting moments with 109, including the day of my initial arrival. I noticed that a car outside of the headquarters of the office where I was supposed to go to sign my work contract had a license plate 10914. So that caught my eye. The day that Nipsey was murdered, March 31st, 2019, within an hour or so of learning of Nipsey's demise, I was driving to work. I saw this truck. The truck cut me off, and I was angry, and I noticed that the truck's license plate was 1090. So that stuck with me. I snapped a photo of it for, evidence. In case the CIA was actually after me, I can say, hey, you sent that truck to cut me off, to run me off the road. It didn't happen, didn't work, whatever. Surprisingly, 7 days after we lost Nipsey, I was going to work just as I had done previously for several months, or I think 2 months, because March I think I arrived in late January, or maybe I arrived in February. I had only spent a month in, I guess I only spent three or 4 weeks in, 3 weeks at Heather's place, and then I moved to a new place with just 3 weeks. Yeah, Heather was a friend from, is a friend from South Korea, and she let me stay. I asked to stay with her to get my bearings and to learn about the city and whatnot. Let's see. So yeah, so March 31st. So Nip was murdered. And then yeah, I walked outside my home April 8th. See, the difference in time is that in the Middle East, I was 11 hours ahead. So even though Nipsey's murder occurred on March 31st, I was asleep when it occurred, and when I woke up, it was April 1st. We were 11 hours ahead, okay? So on April 8th, what would have been April 7th in Los Angeles, I was going to work, and I looked outside and I saw a cross in the sky. I took a picture of it. All of these moments were just like very spiritually led. It was like, I keep seeing 109. I just saw a cross in the sky. We lost Nipsey, and Nipsey's death had a huge effect on me. I couldn't even teach that week. I was in a daze. Everything was surreal. I was very, very, the the weight of the events were just too heavy for me. Before that, when Nipsey was alive, I was walking around like I had a king's crown upon my head, and I was just like chest all out, like, yeah, we got this. Yeah. So by the time 2019 rolled around, when we lost Nipsey, the day that we lost Nipsey, the spirits talked to me. The spirits told me that Nipsey was Jesus and that Nipsey had a connection to Ethiopia, and the lineage from Ethiopia was clear. Yes, he came from Eritrea, but I had been to Aksum, and Aksum was an empire that spanned across modern day Saudi Arabia, Yemen, Eritrea, and Ethiopia. So today, those individual countries are divided by geopolitical not imaginary, but geopolitical lines, and that those lines didn't exist, thousands of years ago, and that's the point that Nipsey was very much connected to Ethiopia. The way that the way that the spirits were telling me, it's like, oh no, he's a son of Ethiopia. He's Jesus. He's the cross in the sky proves that. And then the mystery was, well, what does 109 mean? Why? I know 109 is my calling card. It's the sign that lets me know that the spirits are talking to me. And then that's when I was in Oman. I was talking to my colleague, and my colleague said, ask Google what 109 means. Google told me 109 was an angel number, and I didn't understand that as well as I do today. And I wasn't satisfied with that answer because I thought every number is an angel number. But I did some more searching, and I found a company named 109 World. I sent an email to one of the creators, and I said, do you see the numbers like I do? Like, why would you name your company 109 World? Like, tell me, please. So she told me the connection between 109 and the Mala necklace. And so that led me down one rabbit hole. I wasn't satisfied still until I found another company, a restaurant in Colorado named 109, Felipe's 109. And I said, hey, man, I sent them a text message through Instagram. I said, hey, man, why did you name your company 109? And he told me that it has to do with Romans 10:9. It's a reference to Romans 10:9. I thought, man, that's interesting. So when I read Romans 10:9, it became profoundly clear to me that the spirits had talked to me, that the spirits were communicating to me through these numbers, and that the message that I had received was profoundly clear. And it was about Nipsey being Jesus. It was just too much. It was like this Romans 10:9 verse was just too perfectly aligned with salvation through Jesus. That would explain why I saw 109 on the license plate. That would explain why I saw 109 all of these years. It just made for a very compelling argument for the connection between Nipsey and Jesus. And I was like, all right, I got the message. I'm with it. The cross in the sky was just another mystery that was like, if that's not a sign from God, from the universe, that Nipsey was Jesus, then I don't know what is. Because 10:9 is pretty doggone precise. But then where'd those lines come from? Because we weren't anywhere near an airport. So we didn't see lines in the sky daily as you do near cities that are near airports, especially like in Los Angeles. I walked out last weekend. I walked outside and I looked up and I saw so many lines in the sky, and I thought, man, this is incredible. But it was understandable. Airplanes had created those lines. Whereas in Oman, where airplanes don't fly overhead the way that they do in Los Angeles, seeing across two perpendicular lines 7 days after we lost Nipsey, that was a mystery, purely a mystery. But it was in alignment. It was absolutely in alignment, and it made me say, yeah, I'm a believer. And then the fact that it was 2 years to the day that I had stepped foot in Ethiopia. Now, if it was a CIA conspiracy and the CIA was doing all of these things, then the CIA was doing their research. Because, yeah, the day that I arrived in Ethiopia is the day that we lost Nipsey. It was 2 years apart, but still. And so the message that I would deduce from that would be the CIA doesn't want black people learning about Ethiopian history, doesn't want us to learn the truth. The CIA is very wary. They want to control their black people as best they can. And I was out of control. I was traveling the globe, going here, going there, asking questions, developing my own ideology, my own ideals. And I was like, oh, I got it. Nipsey was Jesus. We are gods. We are the ones, okay? You're not. You're lying. You're inferior to us, and we gotta make the adjustments because this is all BS. So anyway, that's a unique coincidence. The fact that the day that I arrived in Ethiopia, 2 years later, on the exact same day, is the day that we lost Nipsey. That part, man. All right, continuing on in 2019. Now I have so many other stories, but I didn't put them in the list properly. Doggone it. Whatever. I'll have to come back and do it and mention them. But in 2019, so I got fired from that job in Oman, and they were going to send me home. But I demanded that they pay me my last paycheck, and I was like, I'm not getting on the plane until I have the money in my account. So they said, all right, that's understandable. We'll wait for the money to be deposited into your account. So I had to wait like 3 days. But I didn't know I had to wait 3 days. And on the first day that I waited, they told me, go check your account. Maybe the money's there. And it wasn't. The second day, they told me, go check your account. Maybe the money is there. And it wasn't. The third day, they told me, go check your account. Maybe it's there. I went and I checked my money, and my money was there. But on the third day, I knew my money was going to be there. Because every day that I checked my account, I took the same route. I was walking in the heat of the desert, of the Omani desert. I was walking from my hotel room to the ATM, to the local ATM, several blocks away in the heat. I was not very happy about doing this. I was pretty angry. I was angry that I had been fired, but I was also angry that they were telling me to go check my bank account to see if the money was there. I was waiting for a message, an SMS message on my cell phone to tell me, oh, your bank account, the money's in your account. But they never sent that message. So I had to walk there. So I walked there day 1, day 2. Now on day 3, I knew my money was there because I walked the same route every day to get to this ATM. But on the third day, for some strange reason, there was this taxi parked on the sidewalk directly in my path. So here we go again. Let's imagine the CIA saw that I was taking the same route to get to the ATM. On the third day, they said his money will be there. We're going to put this taxi in on the sidewalk where he's walking. He is going to notice that because it's an odd thing to see. The taxi is parked on the sidewalk. So as I'm walking the same path on the third day, I knew my money was in the account because as I approached that car, it was a taxi. I noticed that the taxi's license plate read 1090. And I said to myself, those are my numbers. My money's in my account. Now, granted, it had been 3 days. That was plenty of time for the money transfer to, be complete. But it didn't matter that, there was sufficient time for the money to be deposited. It was more so the fact that those were my numbers and I saw them on my way to the ATM. That's what made me say, I know I have my money. And sure enough, my money was there. So those are the 109 things that happened, the 109 things that happened in 2019 while in Oman. But in 2019, that's not the only thing that happened because I left Oman and I went to Thailand, I went to Vietnam, and I went to Singapore and Cambodia. In Thailand, I woke up, I walked out of my hotel room, and I stood at the corner at this very busy intersection in Thailand. And I noticed that in Thailand, they put numbers on their street corners, and the street corner that I stood at was the 10-9 corner. And I thought, oh, wow, that's wild. So that happened in Thailand. On my way to Vietnam, I was assigned a seat in row 9. When I got to the airport, I got through customs. My liaison, my customs liaison, told me that my driver would be waiting for me in at gate 10. So there I was, 9, 10, 10, 9 in Vietnam. Vietnam had something else special for me. So this is 2019, after Nipsey's murder, and I decided to listen to Nipsey's music while I'm in Vietnam. So I asked the driver if I could play my music. He said, sure. So I started playing Nipsey's Victory Lap, his debut album. I'm listening to his music. And do you know, as I'm riding to get to my hotel from the airport, my driver stops at an intersection, and I look out the window and I notice that the hotel and restaurant are called Victory Hotel and Victory Restaurant as I'm listening to Nipsey's Victory Lap. All right. I probably wasn't listening to Victory Lap, the song, but I was listening to Victory Lap, the album. And I thought, oh man, that's wild. Victory, victory, victory. Okay. And that was Vietnam. I was in Singapore at the mall, and this very persistent salesman accosted me. The mall was quite empty. It was not very busy. And his store was going out of business. I think that's the story he told me. Anyhow, he was giving deep discounts on the items. I wasn't particularly interested in the items. I was just walking past the store, and the guy stopped me and they say, "Hey, come inside. Look at what I'm selling, and you should buy this." And nah. He was quite persistent. So I said, all right, I'll listen to your sales pitch. I listened. I thought, wow, he's actually got some decent products and he's selling them at great discounts. I guess the company's going out of business. I'd said that's a pretty good deal. But I wasn't sold on these products because I don't regularly purchase these products. These products were, they're like skincare products. Moisturizer, exfoliant, and I don't know what else. But those two things were in the package. He told me that he would sell me $300 worth of goods for like $80. I thought it was a good deal, but I told him, all right, let me think about this for a second. So I stepped away. I stepped outside of his store. I stepped outside and I thought to myself, this is an incredible deal that I've happened upon, but I don't really want to spend the money but although I don't want to spend the money, this guy is so persistent, I think I might have to. He's offering me some good products that are at deep discounts. I'm like, he's so persistent too. He wouldn't let me leave. He wouldn't let me, pass his store. I'm like, oh, okay, man. So as I'm thinking about it, I look at his store. I look back at the store. See, I had walked away. I walked outside into the mall to just ponder and just look around. When I looked up at his store number, I was shocked when it said 01-09. That's basically 109. And I was like, I got it. I understand why you're marketing to me. It's my numbers. Those are my angels. You know, they're calling me to purchase these products, and you're the salesman. Okay, okay. This moment is in alignment. I will indulge. So I said, okay, man, 109, let's go. And that's what happened. I flew back to Los Angeles. 2020 came around, and then I was already aware of March because of Nipsey's murder. So March 2020 rolled around, and when COVID hit, it was like another disaster in March. And I thought to myself, wow, this is pretty bad. That, excuse me, that March has taken such a turn for the worse because, yeah, it was COVID-19 was bad. 2021 rolled around, and for the most part, now I had gone 2 years with tragedies occurring in March, and I was like, you know what? March is a bad month. It's the omen has been set. It is, in the future, March will be a bad month. In 2021, March wasn't so bad. Things were going swimmingly until the last day of March 31st, when my cousin Mark was killed. And I was like, I knew something bad was going to happen because March 2019, Nipsey, March 2020, COVID, March 2021, my cousin Mark. So 3 years, March was marked with tragedy, was blemished by tragedies. I think it was also 2021 that I bought the DVD at Esselwan Books related to Basquiat's life, Rage to Riches. I had no idea what that had in store for me with regards to 109. So, 2022, I went to Sweden. I went to the Alfred Nobel Peace Prize Museum, and I had my 109 moment there with the tour guide. I saw a document from 1934 behind a display case, clearly with the number 109 written on it. I learned about Karl von Ossietzky on that trip. Never forget his story, his legacy. That year, 2022, I also went to Ghana. I noticed a license plate with 109 on it. I also stayed in hotel room 109 in Ghana. Those things happen. I was in Denmark, and I saw 109 flash on the screen. There was an advertisement for internet service or something. You could pay 109 kroners per hour, per month. I don't know. I saw that. These are little details. And then 2022, in December, I started working at Dorsey High School. And in 2023, at the end of the year, I had been at Dorsey 6 months or something like this. And then Nipsey's brother and the rest of the Marathon Clothing team showed up for the end of the year festival for the students. Blew my mind. Like, there I was working at a high school in Los Angeles, and here's Nipsey's brother on the same campus, just standing feet away from me. I was filming the event, walking around with my camera, just documenting the event. His brother saw me, and he walked up to me, directly up to me. We shook hands, we took a picture together. I didn't have the words to say anything to him, but I was just like, I was in awe. And I found it so strange that he would walk up to me you know, the way that he did. He was standing with his team, and he just broke away from the team and said, "I'm gonna go say what's up to this brother over here." I had my little GoPro. I was filming and everything, and he walked directly up to me. I was all alone. He walked up to me, handshake, little hug. Hey, what's up, brother? Hey, man. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you, brother. Let's get a picture together, man. This is amazing stuff that you're doing, brother. It's amazing. That happened. Um, let's see. When I went to Ghana, let me go back. I'm gonna backtrack. When I went to Ghana, I flew Ethiopian Airlines intentionally, even though the Ethiopian Airlines plane crash in 2019 was a very sad and impressionable event. Like, made me wonder, do you really want to take Ethiopian Airlines again, man? But I said, yeah, yeah, yeah. They hadn't had a crash in more than 20 some odd years. And that 2019 thing was just an aberration. So I was like, come on, let's get it. So I flew from Washington, D.C. to Ethiopia. And then I had a layover in Ethiopia. So they told us, all right, you're going to wait probably like 3 hours in between flights. They said when it's time to board, you're going to board at gate 10. I was like, oh, okay, gate 10. Look at it. Look at this. All right, here we go. 10. Here we go. 10-9 again, right? So they say board at gate 10. And I was kind of like, oh, here we go again, man. How does this happen? How come it's not gate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 12, 15, but it's gate 10? Like, wow, how's this happening, right? How am I choosing the flights that get delegated to gates 10 and 9? How is this happening? It's happening too frequently, right? So I after the layover, I wait at gate 10 to board the plane, and when I'm boarding, I get a new seat assignment. I get my ticket, issued to me, and my seat assignment is in row 9. So I'm just like, I'm bugging, like, wow, here we go again, 10-9. I forgot to tell about, I guess it was Copenhagen, Denmark. I was at the airport. I didn't tell this story. It was 2022. I was leaving Denmark, and I was standing in line, and there was a security guard. He was kind of doing some ushering passengers to different lines, and he was telling each passenger to stand in one of those lines. Go over there, go over there, go over there. When it came to me, he told me to go stand in line 9. And I was like, damn, here we go again. So I stood in line 9. But the thing about it is the way the numbers were listed. So the numbers were on the ground for you to see. So when I stood there at number 9, in row 9, in line number 9, to the left of 9 was 10. So I could look down and I could see 10-9 very clearly on the ground. So I snapped that photo. But I thought to myself, man, there's so many lines. How did he choose row 9 for me? It's like, here I go again. Here it is again, 10-9. All right, 2025. Last year I went to Japan. 3 times. I flew to Japan from LA, flew to Korea, flew to Thailand, then flew back to Japan. That was my second time in Japan for 2015. Then I flew back to LA. And then in December, I just described what happened in the summer. In December, I went back to Japan. So that was 3 trips to Japan. Now on that third trip to Japan, I got a seat assignment in row 10, and my room assignment was room 109. See, it just keeps happening. I mean, I thought that was beautiful. I thought that was wonderful, just so that I could have those stories and have those moments. I thought that was beautiful. But again, the point is, I didn't ask for any of these moments to happen. I didn't ask to be led to these gates, to these seats, none of that. I'm just documenting, I'm just telling you what happened over the years. 10-9. Okay, these are some isolated incidents that I didn't mention. I have to go back in time. I think I mentioned in 2013 and 2015, I traveled to Nagasaki and Hiroshima, respectively. The reason why Nagasaki and Hiroshima are important is because the Manhattan Project, all of the scientists who participated in the Manhattan Project, they had to go to address 109 East Palace in Santa Fe, New Mexico. You know, it was a clandestine operation, and that was the first point of entry. All of the scientists would go to 109 East Palace, and then from there they would go to secret locations, but they all had to meet at 109 East Palace. And there was a door with 109 written or affixed to the door, which is interesting because I only know that because Steven and Marcia were traveling through New Mexico a few years ago, probably like 4 years ago now. They took a picture of a door with 109 on it. Now, these are my colleagues and they know my stories about 109, but I didn't know the connection to Hiroshima and Nagasaki until they posted that picture. And then I asked them about it, and they said it has to do with the atomic bomb. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's crazy. I've been to both of those cities, Nagasaki and Hiroshima. So now it was like the spirits led me to those. The spirit of 109 led me to those cities. That's why I traveled to those cities, of all cities, right? I still haven't been to Kyoto, Osaka, Nagoya, Nagano, Nara. Haven't been to Osaka and Kyoto. Osaka and Kyoto. Osaka, Kyoto, Nagano, Nagoya, Nara. A lot of different cities that I haven't been to in Japan. Hokkaido, Sapporo. Yeah, I haven't been to those cities. But Nagasaki and Hiroshima, oh yeah, I've definitely been to those. Okay. 2018, I was in Colombia. And I woke up at 1:09 a.m. I know that because I woke up out of the blue. I grabbed my cell phone, looked at my cell phone, and it was 1:09 a.m. I probably went to sleep around 9 p.m., but I suddenly woke up at 1:09 a.m. in Colombia, Medellin, Colombia. When I went back to Colombia last year, 2025, I was there in Colombia after my travels in the summer to Japan, Korea, and Thailand. I went to Colombia, and I was in Colombia, and then I was sitting down having some coffee. I turned around and looked toward the street, and that's when I saw bus number 109 pass by. I said, "Ooh, wow, that was interesting." Then I was traveling from one city to another city with my colleague at the time, and I told him about my 109 experiences and how I was waiting for a taxi, and I was matched with the license plate 109 on it. I told him that story, so I guess he was kind of on the lookout for a taxi 109. And sure enough, as we were sharing a taxi to the hotel that we were going to share, the hotel accommodation, Airbnb, two bedrooms, one thing, whatever. We weren't sharing the same room. We had two. There were two rooms that we had, but we were splitting the cost. On the way to our accommodation, we passed a taxi with we passed taxi number 109, and my colleague is like, "Hey, there's taxi 109 right next to us." And I'm like, "What?" Because I just told him the story when we were waiting for the taxi, but we didn't get taxi number 109. But here we are in traffic right next to Taxi 109. So I asked him to film it for me, and that was just a bizarre occurrence right there. What else? What else happened? Last trip to Ethiopia. Oh yeah. Speaking of Ethiopia, I should have mentioned this sooner, but in 2018, on my last trip to Ethiopia, that's when I was walking in the museum. I was on the second floor. I had to go to the bathroom, and on my way to the bathroom, I passed this door with 109 written on it. So it was a door with 109 written on it. Remember, the door that all the scientists had to enter for the Manhattan Project was had 109 written on it. So there's a connection between Ethiopia and the Manhattan Project and Japan. And in Japan, 109 lives because 109 is there's a play on words. It's a pun. Saying Tokyo Kyuko, Tokyo Kyuko is Tokyo high speed or Tokyo Express for the rail system, Tokyo Kyuko. And rather than saying Kyuko, they just say Tokyu, Tokyo Kyuko, Tokyu. But Tokyu means 10 and 9. So there's a conglomerate in Japan called Tokyu, and they play with the numbers and play with the words. So you'll see in advertisements, you'll see the number 109 in advertisements. You'll see them on the names of buildings. You'll see Tokyu written out, but Tokyu is 10-9, so it's everywhere in Japan. Those are the 10-9 stories right there that I can recall. There's some other moments and things and stuff like that, but that's all that I've documented. Oh wait. I was in Spain in 2018. I went to Madrid, Granada, and Cordoba. Granada, Cordoba, Ronda, and Malaga. And I think those cities were conquered in 1090, in the year 1090. I didn't know that at the time. I had to learn that later. But in 1090, Granada, Cordoba, Malaga, those were cities that I visited when I was in Spain. They had all been conquered by at least one caliphate. 1090. And then when I arrived at Cordoba, I got off the train in Cordoba, and the sign, like where I exited the train, the sign read 3439. And I looked at that briefly, and I thought to myself, 3 plus 4 plus 3 is 10. And there's the number 9, 10, 9, 3, 4, 3, 9. That's 10, 9. So exactly where the train let me out, where I exited the train when I arrived in Cordoba, was at platform 3439, which is 10, 9 to me. Those are my stories from all over the globe. 10, 9.
You're at 109 right now.
That's Kobe Bryant, the legend, saying that. So those are my stories, and I'm sticking to it. But then you don't even know what has come next. It's the Jean-Michel Basquiat connection to Nipsey that is related to Japan. All right, I'll save you some time and just tell you what happened. Jean-Michel Basquiat created a work of art in which so many of the words are linked precisely to Nipsey Hussle's life. Could it be a coincidence? It's too precise for it to be a coincidence. I think it's a premonition. And going back to what 10-9 means and what the message was that I got about Nipsey and Jesus, Basquiat painted Jesus 3 years before he was even born. Not only that, the proof is that Nipsey took a photo 30 years after the painting was created. And the painting and the picture are identical. All right, I'm out. Kobe, let them know.
You're at 109 right now.